When did you start?
September of 2020?
Okay, so year and change.
Yeah.
Year and 6 months, roughly.
Yeah.
How much MRR have you added since then?
I think about 100K a month.
About 100K a month of new MRR. I thought it was more than that, right?
130?
130K?
Yeah.
So what I want to talk about, and I know you guys are going to have a bunch of questions for Raj, because Raj is one of our superstars. You've been killing it, man. I'm so proud of you the last couple of years. We just met for the first time, I think, in August?
Yeah.
In August in Austin. Yeah. COVID kind of did that, where you don't meet people in person. But it's really, your journey has been so cool to watch. What do you think has been, from your standpoint, top 2 or 3 things that have kind of gotten you from that and now? And then I want to talk a little bit about how you're scaling and some of those things too.
I think the biggest difference is our structure, our documentation, our processes, whatever you want to call it. I call it structure because it all kind of
Absolutely
encapsulates everything.
100% agree with that.
But as soon as we realized that we wanted to grow and we wanted to scale in a way that was sustainable, and the only way to do that was to document the processes. So, we have from process A to process Z documented, and then we have an internal process meeting every Wednesday where 3 of us meet, and we basically go through what is it that we need to continue to document, or what are we lacking, where are the gaps, and then we tackle that. We assign that process to somebody, that gets documented, and then we implement it, and the process is kind of like it's a living...
Well, it's a constant breathing document,
correct,
right?
Yeah.
So something I heard you just say there, and this actually makes me think of Corey Peterson, when he was, did you watch Corey's session?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
He said he made a decision in his head first that he was gonna stop being an employee. He's going to stop letting his company run him, and he made the decision. That sounds like the mindset you had around your processes. And growth.
Yeah. At some point, I talk about this on our calls, but I'm a shitty tech, and I realized how good some of these guys are, tech as far as technical abilities go, and so at some point I just said, I'm not going to do anything technical. And the guys don't let me do anything technical. So, in fact, I don't even have administrative access to my own computer. So that's how, that's how much they, and I don't have administrator access to any servers or anything because I don't need it. And so that has helped me really create the mindset of, I need to work on the business instead of in the business. So when I'm going and meeting, when I'm going on site, I'm meeting with directors of IT, CFOs, CIOs, and I'm listening to what they've got going on, and I'm planning a year in advance.
But you're planning from a strategic standpoint.
Correct.
Not from I can solve their shit with a tech standpoint.
No.
Which is, I would tell you guys, that is such a major impact and a different mindset. You have to say, I'm not going to tech my way out of this problem. I'm going to strategy my way out of this problem.
Yeah. And for me, my sales cycle is like a year and a half. So for all you guys that think, you go and meet with a person and then you're going to close the deal, in my world, it doesn't work because I'm working with companies that are 500,000, 2,000, 5,000 employees. And decision-making process for them is like, okay, do we have the budget? If they don't have a budget, there's no point in even talking to them. So what I do is, if they don't have a budget, I sit down with them and I help them through that process. So it takes me months to go, okay, what do you guys have as far as your cybersecurity budget? Oh, well, we don't have anything. Well, what you should be planning is this, and I give them all those things, and I talk about, hey, these are the vendors we've worked with, this is a strategy company A has taken that is similar to you, and this is how much it costs them. So I'm providing value to that manager, to that director, and then when budgeting comes around, they always call, they'll always email and say, hey, by the way, we're looking at this, we're not going to go in this direction, but we are going in this direction. Do you mind, do you want to have a meeting? What do you think? So I become somebody that's already adding value to their organization without ever having them sign an MSA or without any kind of invoices. So
really, truly the trusted advisor role,
yeah.
right? So think about how important that is, that mindset, that especially the mindset shift that you had to say, We are going to, I'm going to scale my business. It's all about SOPs, and I'm going to get myself out of tech. I bet you there's less than 5% people in this room from a tech guy, CEO standpoint, that have taken themselves out of tech to that level. Anybody here taking themselves out of tech to where you don't even have admin access to servers? A couple guys. I wasn't far off with my numbers. And you know what I see about all three of these gentlemen? Growth, scale, driving.
In fact, I take myself out of the country at least 1 month a year. And, when I first started doing that, that made me really, really nervous. It was 2017, and I got probably a call a day, I think, and each of those became what we call their customer service opportunities, CSO. So basically, I would create a CSO and say, this call I shouldn't have ever gotten this call. Something broke down. So each year, now I've been going for a number of years, and now when I go, I don't, you will not see me on a phone call with a client, with one of our guys. You won't see me with my laptop out fixing anything, because that's already been addressed. If I'm here for the conference, I'm working on the business, and there's somebody that can handle whatever that needs to be done. And there are some decisions that do come to me. For example, if we're adding a person. I'm always, because I'm strategic, because I'm looking a year down the road, I know what kind of person we need to look for. So what I do is I'll create the topic of, hey, we need to add this role, and because of X, Y, Z. And then what happens is, from there, the management team takes over. We go through and look at the numbers, and then we start creating the job description, and the job description gets approved by the team. So all of that is done without me. So I just start the process, but then it's all followed up. And we have a process, we have an SOP for all of that. And then now, I'm not even involved in the hiring process. So I think the last 4 guys I've hired, I met them a couple of months after they had already been hired. So, at some point, I want the company to just run without, ever.
Well, that's what it should happen.
Yeah, and part of it is I want to sell at some point, and I know what I need to do to sell. And when somebody is going to purchase Intech, I want them to understand that it's a turnkey solution, that they can come in. In fact, and I've had a couple of offers made. Most of the time, these companies that are buying us, they don't even have these processes implemented, and they're impressed with.
So they got cash, but they come in disorganized, right?
It's like copier companies. I don't know what the hell is going on with the copier.
Well, the copier company, the deal with the copier companies is they were used to a massive amount of cash for a long time.
Yeah.
And now they're going down this path where everything's digital. And if anybody here knows copier companies at all, they've literally like 20% of what they used to look at is what they're looking at. And they're looking at this industry as a savior, but they also don't know how to run a service operation to this level, because they were just fixing copiers. They're break fix guys, and they just, and the reason that they had Haas is what it was, is they had Haas.
Yeah, and I had a couple of offers made, and I'm not going to share a lot of the details, but basically one copier company offered me $5 million. We're just under $3 million in MRR, and I just laughed. I'm like, that is a stupid number to throw, because I'm expecting 15, at least 12 to 15 million.
It should be, where you said it should be more than that. I will tell you that.
Okay. Well,
when you start getting up to the level you're at, you start to see multiples of EBITDA, multiples of MRR, and it's all about that. And a couple key things here with this, and this is, I don't know if you remember our discussion about how I started to position myself for sale, but I had no plans to sell, and I had somebody come to me, and doing all of this stuff that we're talking about with the agreements and the sales and the risk management and long-term MRR and all these things and processes and everything that Raj is talking about, and most importantly, pulling yourself out of the tech chair, is when somebody lowballs you from an acquisition standpoint, you have that ability and you have that power to be like, ha, are you kidding me? piss off. It's like I went back to the guys that came to me and I said, triple your number. I'm not even thinking about it. And they're like, what, blah, blah. And then I said, okay, here's all my agreements. Here's my MRR. Here's the fact that I'm out of it. Here's my sales team, my marketing team, all this stuff, which is look at this very similar scenarios. It gives you that power. And you heard me say positioning this morning, same stuff.
So one of the things I learned, I want to grow. I want us to be at 5 million in the next 15 months. And there's no way I can sell my way to 5 million in the next 15 months, meaning I can't.
I have to acquire.
You have to acquire. You have to, so I've never been part of any kind of acquisition or never done anything like that. So I've sold companies, but they weren't IT companies. So I have some of that experience. So what I did to learn how to go and buy companies, to buy other MSPs, is to go out there and say, hey, I'm selling my company. So now I've got people coming to me going, okay, here's what we need to do our due diligence. So I'm basically copying their strategy and implementing it into what I need to do to go acquire more companies. So at one point I had no idea what kind of questions to ask for companies that I'm going to acquire. Now I have a whole process because I've learned through other people trying to acquire us, what they're looking for, what kind of multiples. I know that our EBITDA is like the best in market. We're at 26%, I think, EBITDA, which 20% is usually like high performing, and we're kicking ass. So when I have stupid offers being made, I can laugh in their face and go, what am I going to do with 5 million? We generate almost $1 million in net profit a year. Why the hell would I sell my company for 5 million? So, that has given me confidence and the knowledge to be able to go and hopefully acquire more companies this year.
And I think that's really, really key. You guys heard Corey Peterson today, and we'll reference Corey again. He said he's not some inherently super brilliant guy. He's just really good at copying stuff. I'm say that. I'm also very good at copying stuff.
And I learned a lot from
Raj is also very good at copying stuff. It doesn't mean you're stealing. It means you're looking at what they do, change it up, reinvent it. But you just don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. Yeah. And it's making sure that you execute. So many MSPs, the big challenge I see them struggling with, number one, they're control freaks. And they want to have their hands in all of this tech stuff. Number two is they are afraid to give up that control. And you kind of watch the stuff we do. Note, you guys, I didn't do a thing for this show until I walked down here. I went to the party last night and I walked down here this morning. My team was not micromanaged. Amanda, Tiffany, Lisa, Ebony, they killed it doing this. But it's part of me not like trusting them. Have fun. If it's broken, we'll figure it out. But so it's a lot of it is that mindset, right? That's key. How did you get there?
I don't have time. I want to devote time to my family. If you guys follow me on Facebook, you'll see like I'm always out and about. I'm always doing fun stuff. I got so many things that I love. Other than
Seahawks fan.
Yeah. Other than the work is kind of compartmentalized for me. I'm working 4 to 5 hours a day, if that. But that 4 or 5 hours for me is work. It's like, hey, I got to get this shit done, and I'm in that mindset. But when I'm talking to a lot of you guys, and I offer, if anybody wants to reach me and if they want to look at our SOPs, our processes, I'm happy to do that. And I've done that with some of you guys.
And you are 100% a go-giver. Like I love that.
I love being able to help somebody because and I was just talking to Mark earlier about this. I can give you all of my processes. I'll hand you, our company essentially is there's a digital binder that, like I said, we have a document from process A to process Z. I can hand you that, and you could copy that, change the name of the company to your company. I'll give you a Word document. But guess what? You're not going to be able to change anything with that. Nothing is going to change in your organization by just having these processes documented. You have to live that process. Your people have to live that process. And you have to trust your people, and you can't micromanage. Let them make mistakes. I have a guy that made, and we track these because, like I said, we create customer service opportunities for every failure. So we have a guy that has lost over $250,000 for us in mistakes that he's made, and because of customers we lost and all that. But he's our best guy. So I'm okay with him making these mistakes because he's learning, he has learned, and he's our top guy now. And he will not make those mistakes.
Or at least, the very least, the same mistakes again.
Correct.
Right?
But I'm encouraging them to make mistakes because that's the only way they're gonna learn. And you have to build that culture. And if you don't have that, it's challenging because you cannot do it all.
Yeah. Okay, I want to open up the floor. Anybody have any questions for Raj? Please go to the mic. You guys got to have some questions for this guy. What's your plans for the next 3-6 months here? If you guys have questions, go to the mic, please.
So the biggest thing that we're working on now is a marketing plan. So we're creating a marketing strategy. What I realized, we don't do any sort of marketing. I'm the marketing person for our company, which means I post a couple of times on Facebook and maybe LinkedIn or whatever. But what we really need.
But you also go to shows. I know that you go to trade shows a lot.
Yeah, we do a lot of in-person events, but I don't just. I don't take the shotgun approach to anything because I still like working 4 to 5 hours a day. If I took a shotgun approach to my sales process, I'd be working so much more. So I see a lot of guys will go into a conference and or an in-person event and they don't have a plan. What I do is when I go to an in-person event, first of all, we sponsor them because that differentiates us from everybody else, right? I got a table and my logo's up on the screen and all that. Second, I research people that are going to be there. So they send me, when you sponsor an event, they usually send you an attendee list ahead of time.
Or a registrant list at least.
Yeah. So I know which companies I want to work with in our area. And what companies need cybersecurity or whatever we're selling. So I'll research them, and if I'm meeting a director of IT or a VP of IT or whatever, I usually know. I'll go look them up on LinkedIn, and what LinkedIn does, it pings them that, hey, Raj looked at your profile, so they know that I've already made a warm contact with them. And I'll go next day and since I have a photo of them in my head, and it's usually 4 or 5 people. I don't do this with everybody, but it's the companies that I want to specifically work with. And I look up their number of employees, how many people, because LinkedIn is very helpful. It tells you how many people work at the company, what their roles are, and all that. So I use a lot of that information to basically prime and get ready for that conversation. So if I'm meeting with a manufacturer that is in aerospace, I'm going to them and saying, hey, how's your CMMC journey? At what stage are you? Or do you guys know that these things change? And most of the time, they already know what the heck is going on. But it's a way for me to use certain industry verbiage that immediately makes me credible. So these are little things that I've incorporated into my sales process.
And so a lot of MSPs come to me and say, I have to market. Here's a guy that's grown his MRR $130,000 a year in the last 12
Zero
months.
marketing.
With zero marketing, specifically, I wouldn't say zero marketing, but no active outbound, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to trade shows, establishing himself as an expert. Don't have to cold call constantly. Those things help, but you have to have a lot of budget, you have to have a lot of staff, you have to have a lot of systems for it. And you see now, he's coming to the point where he's like, okay, I'm gonna start to build that because I have cash flow for it. But establishing yourself as an expert, what's your core vertical that you go after?
Manufacturing, compliance, aerospace, Department of Defense, anybody that
in your Pacific Northwest, so that's, it's big up there, but manufacturing's big everywhere. My MSP was in Milwaukee. Manufacturing is massive in Milwaukee. So look at your vertical, make yourself an expert, pick out a vertical. Any one, kind of last question here, any one thing that you'd recommend? We got single, solo person shops all the way up to, I think we got a 50 here. Any recommendations from you to get to that whatever the next step in their journey is?
Yeah, I don't love what I do. I know like a lot of people will say, I love my job, or I love being the owner of this company or whatever. I'm doing this because this is essentially a stepping stone for me to get to where I want to get to in life. And my goal in life is, in the next 10 years, I want to be, my net worth to be at least 150 million. So I have a plan, my wife and I put together, it's not like, okay, this is exactly what we're doing, but we're growing through purchasing commercial real estate, and we've been doing that for the past 9 years. So my goal was never to be just a single person IT shop. My goal from day one was to have multiple people work for me. And so that's why as soon as we formed the company, from day one, I had an employee. So I think day 16, we hired our second employee, something like that. And then month 3, I had 6 employees. Because I wasn't working in my business, I was able to work on my business and go, how do I grow? What do we need to do? While the techs are doing their thing, I can actually, be strategic and go through my sales development or my business development stuff. So I think if you want to grow, that's going to be, that's the key.
Mission critical.
Yeah.
Mission critical.
And so many of us are not management people. Like, we're just really bad at managing people. So you have to figure that out. If you are just a crappy manager, then you hire a manager. You need to, or if you're just a crappy business owner, I hate financials. I hate looking at finances. All that is done by somebody else. But what I do have on a daily basis is a report on, AR, who are my top clients that owe us money, and how much we invoiced last week, how much is remaining to be invoiced this week. Like some key things, projects that are on schedule, or projects that are behind schedule, projects that are over budget, those kinds of things that I can go, okay, hey, what's going on with the company? And I have a Bright Gauge dashboard that shows me, it's one dashboard, gives me information from all the different systems. And I don't have to react. Most of the time I don't. If our AR is generally somewhere around almost $300,000 any given month. And I know that company A owes us 150 of that. And then it's like the smaller companies, somebody may owe us 20,000, 30,000. But as I look at those numbers, and as I'm having strategic conversations with clients, it helps me talk to them and go, hey, you guys aren't paying your bills on time. We need to talk about that. What can I do to help you?
Comes back to another thing that Corey said, knowing your numbers is absolutely key. I know my MRR number, I know my AR number, I have all that, I know that every single day, very similar to what you're talking about. Those are all essential things to growth. So if you want to get to that next level, these are so many things. And this is why we wanted to have Raj on this stage, because you've gone so far in the last 16, 18 months, man. I'm so proud of you. You've killed it.
And it's by no means the last 16, 18 months. It's from day one that we started. But what really helped me, Chris, is as soon as I started working with you and the team, I had a whole group of people that I can compare myself to. I'm a very, very competitive person. So I want to be the best at whatever I'm doing. And the way that I figured out whether we were going in the right direction or the wrong direction was to talk to you guys. So, I'm listening to these calls and I'm going, holy shit, somebody's charging $450 a seat? Why can't we do that?
And I remember a barrier that we had together was getting Raj over the 12, I can actually book more than a 12-month agreement. And now you're actively doing it all the time.
Now we're doing 3-year. So when we, 16 months ago, 18 months ago, we would only do 1-year contracts because I wasn't really sure of where things were going and how things were going to be priced. I didn't want to put us in a situation where now we're selling, at, let's say, $150 per seat, but our cost is like $140 or something like that. So I wanted to see where it all went, but we're generally making a lot of money, and now we can even provide. We don't even provide a discount for 2-year or 3-year contract, but we add a few things for the client that are valuable to them, and that really don't cost us much money. But yeah, it's been
the mindset's been so key.
Yeah. As soon as that changed for me, that I was not going to waste my time. I think I had at some point I had this lead gen company 2 years ago that would give us all these appointments, and I would go to this. I remember vividly, driving 2.5 hours to this roofing company, and I get there. And the owner wouldn't even meet with me. He's like, well, talk to my office manager. And I go, well, I'm not going to talk to the office manager. And he basically gave me 30 seconds and said, give me your pitch. And that I wasted 5 hours of my day driving to and from. And at that point, I changed, the whole sales strategy changed for me. I said, fuck this, I'm not going to waste any of my time. I'm going to make sure that whatever prospect I walk into, they know who I am, they know what we are, what we do, and that they actually have some sort of need for technology.
They're the right fit.
Yeah.
Right?
So I don't go to the we have a niche that we're in, and I will not touch anybody that is outside of that. And that I've learned that we're basically focusing on bigger companies, and we're not going to take on smaller companies. We learned that, and even to a point where if I go meet with a client and they're just, the owner is an asshole, or the person that I'm working with is an asshole, and I tell them like, we have a policy, we don't work with assholes, and I walk away. And I've had so many people like, why would you, like, we don't even have a relationship and you're already cursing me out. And I go, yeah. Because I don't want a relationship with you.
Not a fit for me, 100%. Yeah.
You're like, you're not even a client, and you're already demanding things. What the fuck is going to happen when you actually start paying me for things? This is going to get worse. So it's like dating to me. I will not waste my time on a person that is just not a good fit for me.
I agree. All right, man. Thanks so much for coming up.
Thank
Let's
you.
give Raj a hand. Congrats.